Nervous at all.
Yeah,
At
all right.
all. No,
It's just two friends having a conversation.
it is. So,
Let's freaking grow!
Welcome to the show.
all right. Well, I guess I'm going to start off by welcoming everyone. This is Danny, and this is my friend Michelle. We're here uptown Charlotte at Crafty Beer Guys. I want to take a second and thank Everett and Sarah for letting us use this space to film today. Today we're just going to be getting into some life questions and stuff. Me and Michelle have known each other for a long time. She was one of the first people that I met when I moved down here in 2011, and over the years we've had many good times together. We've seen many of our bright sides and many of our worst sides.
Yep.
And I think both of us, if you know a little bit about Michelle, I'll just let Michelle get into her story a little bit. If you
Well, I don't know what you want to talk about. Like, I don't know what you want to
how
say.
did we get to where we are today? Because when we first met, we were both in very different places in our lives, both very, very different people. And your transformation has inspired me along the way, watching your changes over the years, not only physically, but emotionally, mentally. You're someone who I admire. And when I started on my journey and I knew I needed to seek knowledge, people who've been through it before and who have succeeded at it, like long term, you know? And so if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit about your journey and kind of what what woke you up to start deciding to make changes in your life.
It's a lifelong thing. Like, when you met me, I was drinking alcohol, but I've had bouts of sobriety before. So right now I am 2.5 years sober-ish. And, but that goes way, way, way back. I had 9.5 years of complete sobriety from 1999 on, and then stopped and made a decision that I was going to start drinking alcohol again. And in retrospect, that was a terrible decision. That being said, it's gotten me to where I am today. So I guess, you know, can't be mad about the experience. In terms of what woke me up, it wasn't one thing, it was a lot of things. It was a lifelong knowing that what I was doing wasn't right, that I wasn't in the right place of where I was supposed to be or going to get the life that I wanted if I continued on the path. And what got me to finally stop drinking, like put the drink down, was watching people I love dying.
Um,
Ultimately, like watching the person who I love the most dying in a bed.
you knew them.
Yeah, so I stopped. And it's not easy, but it is easy. It's simple, but it isn't easy.
No, nothing that goes with anything in life.
Right. Everything in life worthwhile is difficult.
That facts.
Yeah, straight up. And so for me, it was divine intervention. I know it was God. And I mean, we could sit here for 4 days and not cover everything, but it was the fact of this isn't how I was going to live my life anymore. And physically, emotionally, all of that has contributed to the change. And what the beauty of it is when you start on certain paths, other things change. Like when you truly enact change in your life, everything changes, not just little bits and pieces. Like just showing up to the bar and not drinking alcohol and changing to water isn't going to change your life. That's going to change some things. It's going to change physically. It's going to change chemically how you feel. But when you really start changing all of your behavior, that's when you start to see major change in your life. There's no chance you and I would be sitting here doing this if we were just white knuckling, getting through not drinking alcohol.
And that's where I think, like, because I just started off just sobriety, you know?
Yep, and that's
it was 6 months of just sobriety, but it wasn't growth. There was no growth in those 6 months. When you were sober for 9.5 years, did you put a lot of work into the growth?
No, I did not. I didn't. It was white knuckled the whole time. Like, I mean, I shouldn't say it was white knuckled the whole time. I went to AA. I was sponsored. I sponsored people. Like, that part was fine. And there's some sort of change that comes with that. For me, my life needed a lot more than that.
And so that's for. I tried AA in the past myself too, and I lasted 4 months with it. And this time I did it on my own. I have my own way of doing things, but the self growth part is where we learn the most. And when I've looked at this, I honestly didn't know about the 9.5 years. We've known each other for a long time, and I didn't know that. So thank you for sharing that with me. And that's one thing anyone trying to get help, anyone trying to be sober, it takes courage, it takes strength. I'm not negating the courage or strength it takes for anyone, but from my own personal experiences with AA, there's no emphasis on like the self growth part. I kind of think there's a little bit of like chains in the room.
Well,
I think
so. I think and I think it ties back to just kind of where we are as a society, right? Because with technology and with computers and with the speed at which we learn new knowledge, like just new knowledge in general in the entire world these days, the knowledge doubles every 12 hours. It used to take 50 something years to get the amount of change that we get in one day now. And AA is a fantastic program that works for a lot of people, and it worked well for me for a long time. That being said, it's still based upon principles from way back when. Like, you know, for some people, the Bible is that way too. It's stories from a time when we had less knowledge. The reality is we know more about how human brains work, about human behavior now than we ever did before. So of course there's more, when we're learning, hey, this is why my brain works the way that it does. Addicts' brains work differently than normal people. Alcoholics' brains work different than normal people. It's just different. And that's okay. Just like if you're, you know, any other kind of like neurodivergent situation. It's just different. And I think the more that you learn about how you work chemically and why you make the decisions that you make, the more you can change and the more you can. And some people don't want to change. Let's be honest. Some people just want to stay the way they are, and that's okay. For them, that's their experience. I'm not going to discount it. It's just not my path.
so. Sobriety is the first step, right?
Yep.
We both start there, and then where did you realize that you wanted to grow more as a person? Like also like you've grown professionally, you've grown spiritually, you've grown emotionally. Um, where did that? What inspired you to start growing, and how did you go about it in the early stages?
Coaching. Coaching is what changed coaching massively changed my life. I had a business coach who, her name is Joy, and she's amazing. And I started coaching with her years ago, and it was like, okay, well, focus on this and make some little changes just so like I could show up better professionally. And during that time, I was also going through a really difficult time with my significant other because he was very ill. And so trying to support him, I realized all these different ways that I could, okay, in order for me to become better, I need to do these few things. And really what got me massively into personal development was trying to get my brain to shut up. Was that I had a difficult time sitting with my feelings
Preliminary thoughts.
Of course. I feel like anybody who deals with any level of anxiety has that experience. And when you're newly in sobriety or even just trying to get sober and you're having all of this, you know, the kind of alcoholics that we are blackout alcoholics. We don't remember what we did. We have no idea. You wake up with impending doom, don't know how you got home. Oh shit, is my car in the driveway? My car not in the driveway. Like what happened? And those are the things that keep me sober now. That's not, I shouldn't say keep me sober, but definitely help with it. It's like I know what I did.
Yep.
And I don't have to potentially be ashamed of some sort of behavior that I might have engaged in, and or who I said something awful to. I mean, don't get me wrong, I still say awful shit to people. Not quite like the level that I used to, and not in the same manner. And I don't have to worry about it. Like, and when there's an apology, I actually know what I said, as opposed to, I don't even know what I did last night, because that is awful and that sucks. But to go back to coaching, I think that's really what helped me. And for the people who don't know me, physically I was very, very different, and I'd let myself go because my depression in like 16 and 17 into 18 was really bad, like super bad. And I was doing amazing stuff, like I was going to the Super Bowl, was doing like fun bucket list stuff, but I was miserable. And in other parts of my life, it was very evident. I tend to be able to stay successful business wise and show up in a business way, but not at the level of which I'm actually capable.
Yeah.
Like at a level that it was acceptable for some people, but wasn't what I'm truly capable of. And as I started to just really lean into better versions of myself and actually teach myself discipline, because I never had discipline. That's probably the biggest difference, is, showing up and doing the things that I say I'm going to do, like keeping my commitments. Like, we're here today.
Yep.
Would either of us be
Thank
here
you.
today on a Sunday morning?
2.5 years ago, absolutely not.
Right.
Nope, still be in bed.
Yeah.
Or I still might be up from the night before, considering the things I was doing.
Yeah.
But so for those of you who don't know Michelle, how would you describe yourself physically before you changed? Because I don't want that to be my obligation.
Okay. I've lost 180 pounds. I was a lump. I couldn't walk up. I was thinking back to a birthday party of one of our dear friend's sons, and it was 10 years ago. In June, it'll be 10 years. I couldn't walk up 2 flights of stairs, and so I left his birthday party early because I was okay being down in the pool in a bathing suit, which I'm not sure why I was okay with that, but I was. But I knew that I would be embarrassed that I couldn't walk up the stairs to go open presents, and so I made an excuse as to why I had to leave so that I wouldn't have to walk up 2 flights of stairs in front of my friends. And like going into that, and then we do a thing that's called Living Your Best Year Ever with work, where we plan out our year and figure out what we want to change about our lives and how we want to, the things we want to change for the next year in our goal setting. And it was that year, like a few years later, I was thinking back to that moment, and I was sitting there like, I was wearing size 20 or 22 jeans and the same pair of pants that I have, like from in a 10, a 12, like every size. Like, all girls buy stuff in the same size. Like, we know that we love this and this is how it fits, so we'll buy it in multiple sizes. And I was sitting there and I was just like, what have I done? What have I done to myself? How did I let myself get here? And I had a buddy who was in a space nearby who was going through some serious life stuff with a baby that was about to be born. And I was like, how lazy and selfish are you, Michelle, that you're sitting here being sad, crying because you're fat? And this is something you have complete control over. And these people are dealing with this very, very serious issue that they have no control over, and like, get it together. And so it was that event that year when we were planning out 2018 that I was like, I'm going to change. I'm going to change physically. And I was still drinking. Like, I didn't stop drinking until 22. But that year I I started doing keto and I lost 85 pounds. I joined the gym, and I am a proud member of Lifetime and love it very, very much. Joined the gym then and lost the first 85 pounds to where I could start exercising. And that's where, like, a lot of times you'll see me post a before picture. Those before pictures were during that time. I'd gotten up to 330 pounds, and today I weigh 150. And today I work out with a trainer 2 days a week, really hard. I work out. I have some other gym commitments, but I'm very active. I'm lifting heavy weight. I'm a woman going through menopause, and for us, like building muscle and skeletal muscle in particular is the most important thing, because if you get sick, if you're in a hospital bed, skeletal muscle is what keeps you alive. And if you don't have any, if you're just skinny, that doesn't keep you alive. You need to have that muscle in order to truly thrive. Yeah, so
So the growth started, you'd say, like, you started growing when you started, like, the weight loss, you'd say, helped you learn discipline. And
that was the beginning of it, the very beginning of the discipline. And then I started to drink a little bit less, and I went through bouts, and ultimately sitting with a doctor. It was May of 22, and I knew that my liver wasn't in good shape. And so I went and had a liver panel done, and my enzymes were off the chart. And a friend had just drank herself to death. It was like during COVID, and that was heartbreaking to watch. And I was talking to my doctor, and he said, you will die too. You will die in a hospital bed if you don't stop drinking right now. And the person who I was with at the time had a very severe diagnosis as well. And so I was like, all right, my birthday's coming up, and I'm going to Vegas. I just quit smoking cigarettes the year before. I was like, let's see if I can go to Vegas and not smoke cigarettes. Like, that's going to be a huge test for me. I love Las Vegas. I love gambling. So I had my birthday party, had a terrible blackout, was a complete asshole. Then I went to Vegas for a few days and talked to my doctor and was like, all right, when I get back from Vegas, I'm gonna work on stopping drinking.
then that was where
And
you
then
started going to meetings after that.
no, I just stopped
This
drinking.
time it's been on your own.
I
That's
just
right.
stopped drinking. I've been to one AA meeting during this bout of sobriety, and it was to get my 2-year chip, because I really wanted to do that. And I have some friends who are in early sobriety, and I've told them that if you want me to go to a meeting with you, I'll go to a meeting with you. Because for them, AA is important for them and where they are in their journey.
And that's the same thing I tell people who want, like, I don't do meetings. It's not
the conversation
not
you and I had. Like, you and I had that conversation several months ago.
Yep. And I will go to a meeting with anyone who wants to go to a meeting, because if that's what they feel needs help. And even when I did go into those rooms, I was scared as hell the first time I walked into an AA room. It's scary. And a lot of people don't have I don't want to say don't have the courage to do it, but it would help them a little more if they knew they had someone they could call upon that will do it with them.
Yes.
So.
And they also know they're going to walk in there and see somebody they know. Like, if you're a barfly, you're going to walk into an AA meeting and see somebody you know. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, that's what it's there for.
But if somebody wants to go to a meeting, like, I'll go to a meeting with you.
What would you say on a daily basis? Like, I mean, because I know in my experience, I'm almost a year sober now, but
Congratulations.
Thank you. I still see things or go through experiences where it's my immediate thought, my initial emotion is almost, I want to have a beer right now. I want to take a shot right now. Do you ever still feel that way?
Not, I want a beer or a shot right now. Not, I want a shot right now. It's evolved for me. There are times when I would love to enjoy that drink. Like, we're sitting in a bar right now, and y'all can't see it, but there's a bar back, and my favorite bourbon is up there.
Mine too.
And and it's not a bourbon that we get to enjoy that much in the Carolinas. And so, because you don't have it everywhere. So there's a lovely bottle up there, and it's something that in my drinking days, like, we would have walked in, I would have been like, sweet, pour me one of those right now. That's what I want.
Yeah. Part of the reason I was like, I thought it would be super ironic, that, two sober people are sitting in a bar right now having a conversation about sobriety and life growth. But, these are kind of the environments that we met in and that we used to socialize in. But now we're using these environments to be productive, to inspire other people. And that's something, she posts on Facebook almost every single day something inspiring, and it's one of the when I wake up in the morning, I know I look forward to seeing what Michelle is going to post
Well, thank you.
because it helps me go about my day. And I've also curated my social media to where I'm not looking at people's negative posts.
You can change it.
Yeah.
You can change. That's the bonus of the algorithm.
And I've done that, and it's helped me out so much over the past few months. And when I wouldn't have known better if it wasn't for picking up a book, and starting to do those things that self growth involves, like learning and reading and learning about emotions and how would you say you've grown in emotional intelligence?
Well, like what you just said about when do you want to drink? That is a response to I don't like how I'm feeling. Like that's what that is. When we feel I want to drink or I want a shot, it's because I'm not enjoying the feeling I'm feeling. So through therapy, through coaching, learn to listen to my body and what is it that's really bothering me and who is showing up. Like which one of my protectors. We all have these little people inside of us. We have little versions of us who went through all these different experiences in our lives. And when you figure out who's actually showing up, because if I want to drink, it's not because almost 50-year-old Michelle is showing up and wants a drink. It's usually because 3 or 8 or 14-year-old Michelle is feeling some type of way about a perception that's received. Like driving down Providence Road. Driving down Providence Road, nightmare. Just like driving down I-95. A nightmare, right? Because there's people being idiots not passing the car because they're afraid of passing the truck and it's raining outside or something, right? And so when I'm being impatient and F this, I want to drink, it's like, okay, no. What do you really want? What I want is for traffic to flow in a meaningful and normal manner.
And it's funny, that's something I've learned too. It's like I know the feeling, but now it's actually I know why I have that feeling. Right.
And you reframe it.
And reframing it,
Yep.
And that's something I learned through reading and just seeking the knowledge from people who have grown. And
it makes life more enjoyable.
Yeah, and we were talking about this down in Valhalla too, and our growth and our circles our growth goes like this, but then the circle goes like that.
And the people are still there. It's just I can't have 50 people whose energy I'm around every single day. I just can't because it's overwhelming, and then I can't take care of me. I still love all of my friends, and do my best to show up for something that's important. But I have to take care of me because I didn't take care of me. I didn't take care of me for 20 years, at least, if not longer. In various chunks of my life, I took care of my ex-husband. I took care of my ex-boyfriend. I took care of these cats. I took care of people who I worked with. I took care of
everything else.
Literally every other thing other than me. And for the last 2.5 years, the only person I've prioritized myself, and I never have before.
And since you've done that,
I've exploded
in so many ways.
Mm-hmm.
Professionally, personally, have you how would you say personal growth has impacted your professional life?
Well, my professional life professionally
You've always been successful professionally.
But I've gone through waves. I mean, I work in the mortgage business. The mortgage business is very cyclical. And so I wouldn't say that I've exploded professionally. I'd say I'd exploded professionally where I've wanted to focus my energy. And where I've chosen to focus my energy over the last couple of years has been in coaching rather than in selling mortgages or in operations of mortgage, because I feel like I have more value to add in a space of coaching and helping other people become the best version of themselves. There's a lot of people out there who will tell you what to do, or you can pick up a lot of books and say, oh, okay, I should be doing this or I should be doing that. The best people who you can learn from are the people who are coming back on the path from achieving what you're looking to achieve.
Right.
And that is
It's
It's
just
just
like in sports. When if
that's
a rookie goes in, you learn from the pros. You learn from the people that have the experience under the belt and the people that have been successful.
yeah.
Or those are the ones you should want to learn from.
Right. I mean, and I've been in the mortgage business for 33 years, like on my own for 33 years. My parents owned a mortgage company when I was a kid. Like I've been around it my whole life. From that standpoint, like I'm good. People people reach out to me for questions, and like I'm so honored and humbled by the way that people view me in terms of knowledge in the mortgage space. That is great. But where I've really focused my energy is more on the coaching side because that's what brings me joy now, helping other people. Like the whole reason why we're doing this today for me is my prayer is that it will help somebody else who's struggling, whether they reach out and ask me for help, if they ask you for help, if they ask somebody else for help, if they just realize that there is hope.
Yep.
Like that's what I want.
And I was telling Michelle earlier, like this is all new to me. I've never done any. This is the first time interviewing anyone, but I'm nervous. I'm scared. But I do this with the purpose of trying to help other people. I want people to be inspired out there that there is hope for change. And if there's anything that can be learned through this, that just one little part that you could carry with you, that's the whole point. Like it's I think I've always I've always wanted to help people. I think we both connect. We're both great freaking human beings, and I know that. That's why we've been friends for so long. Because you're a great human being. You're a wonderful human being, and to see you fulfilling you've always want to help people, but it's how you're. I can help anybody by getting in my car and giving them a ride somewhere.
Hmm.
But where I get the most joy is helping someone have the courage to change. Like
Amen.
that's all right what is your purpose? Like what would you say is your purpose?
My purpose is to help people. My purpose for the next parts of my life is to help other people grow and become better versions of themselves. Women in particular don't like, listen, every human being wants to be loved, accepted, heard, seen, valued, all of those things. Every single human being wants that, whether they know it or not. Some people just don't know it yet. Women in particular don't feel worthy, don't feel like they're enough. Every human feels like they're not enough to some degree, right? Like we were talking even about what we're going to wear today, and it was like, all right, what do you? Because I don't want to show up like all dressed up and then you're chill, or, whatever. Or the opposite. I don't know. You might show up in a suit, knowing you, and then I show up and looking like a scrub. So everybody like, hey, is this okay? Is that okay? Everybody wants that reassurance, and as women particularly get older and are taking care of children, taking care of husbands, taking care of their family, it's much more about other people rather than themselves. And you get really disconnected from yourself. And the more disconnected from yourself, you can't serve what your purpose is here on earth, in my opinion. So you have to be connected with yourself. And that reconnection is what I hope every other human being can find, because that has been the biggest gift thus far. Because I know that I'm here to help other people.
And you do every day.
Thank you.
Every day. You've helped me tremendously. And I know when we sat there a few months ago and we talked about our growth and our challenges, I was at a very, very low point in my life, but I knew I was on the right path by seeking the knowledge from the people who have the right experience. And definitely reached out to the right person, and I'll never forget. And I took everything to heart. But one of the biggest things I took away from that was to have an open mind. And to always keep an open mind, because there's always going to be new things you can learn from different people. What can you tell about people about having an open mind and where they can grow through that?
You never know. You never know who is going to be the person who's coming to help you. And they say there's a lot of different parables or stories about, let's say, people being rescued and they're sitting on their roof and they're praying God to come and rescue them, and all these boats come by, and they're like, no, I'm good, I'm just, waiting. And it's like, God sent those people over here to help you, just it was a fishing boat and you weren't expecting that. Like, go on and get in the boat. Like, you never know who is the person who is coming to help you. And for me, it's about listening, about my connection with God. And not every, I'm not a Christian. I don't claim to be. That being said, when I've asked God for help, He's shown up. And it, in retrospect, is undeniable. It's bizarre. It's bizarre to watch and see, and looking back and going, oh my goodness, that's exactly what was happening right then, and I just didn't realize it. And they say that when you ask for success, don't be surprised when it's work knocking at the door, because you have to show up in order. You have to participate in your own rescue. You can't just sit there and go, oh, poor me, and be apathetic.
Yeah.
Apathy will kill you. Like, literally watched apathy kill somebody who I love very, very much. And learning, like, you never lose if you learn the lesson. If you look for the lesson in something and you find it, you can't lose.
One of my good friends told me, because when I broke down going to New York with the EV, I told her, I was like, I kind of feel like a failure. Like, I feel like I'm letting my daughter. And she's like, we don't fail. We just learn what didn't work.
It's science. It's participating in science. Like, you can't go through an experiment and not try different things. And when you're trying different things, you're building data in which it's a hypothesis. So
isn't failing basically not trying?
Yes. That's the only way you truly fail.
Right. I mean, this already is a success to me because we showed up. We
That's
tried.
right. Well, when you decide that this is, like, how you experience things is the gift. Like, I had some shit experiences this year. I had some massive disappointments that, if I framed it that way, would have taken it away as oh my God, I can't believe this happened. Oh, I'm so sad for me and being a victim. That's not what it is. It's how, if I choose that, then I'm a failure, because then I had a shit experience. Like, if you can say, I'm going to go into this, I don't know what's going to happen, and no matter what, it's going to be fun and I'm going to have a great time, then that is what will happen. You get to choose how you experience each day. And I have all sorts of stuff written on my mirrors. Like, it's one of the benefits of living alone. I can write whatever the hell I want on my mirrors. And one of it is this how you want to experience your day? And if the answer is no, then you stop and reset. And you make a choice to experience it differently. It's just like it's a choice to pick up the first drink. It's really easy not to drink. You just don't do it. I mean, unless somebody gives you alcohol and, like, didn't know that it was alcohol, in which case they don't, like, in AA, they wouldn't even consider that a slip. You just back up and start over. But you just show up and do your best, and you know when you're bullshitting yourself or not.
Yeah. Because you put the work in, and then you know what. When you learn where you optimize, like I call it the flow state.
Oh yeah.
And then it goes in and out.
Right.
But we know what to do to get back on track, and that's the beauty.
You can also get back into flow when you realize what you need to do. Like, everybody has a personal recipe of what makes them best. Like, for me, I know. And I'm struggling right now because this week I haven't worked out the level that I normally work out. So I know that 60, 90 days from now, I'm going to struggle a little bit because I didn't do what I needed to do this week. That being said, I had a medical thing, so I have to take care of myself. And that's, taking care of myself is also knowing where my boundaries are and knowing, like, oh, I can't go lift heavy weights when I have vertigo because I might drop something on my head. Like, that would be bad. But keeping up with sleep, nutrition, exercise, what I consume mentally, the TV, everything around me.
Yeah.
Every one of those things matters. And when you figure out what your personal recipe is and you stick with it, you have way more good days than you have bad days. But when you're chasing feeling better because you're still drunk from the night before and shaking and you need to have a drink so that you can function, or from whatever other chemical. We're focusing on alcohol, but let's be honest, we've had problems with other things in our lives. When you're chasing that, you can't be your best because you're so focused on just the mouse and the cheese. Nothing else matters. Like, that's not a way to live your life. It sucks. It really sucks. And you can feel good every single day. Like, and wake up and feel amazing, like $1 million. And then when you feel slightly off, you're like, oh, I don't feel good. That's also a blessing because you can remember how good you feel all the rest of the time.
Nope.
And all of these come with knowing to do better. Once you know to do better and you make the choice to feel like shit, then that's on you. When you don't know any better, it's one thing. But when you do know better, it's a complete different story. And that was where, for me, the 9.5 years of sobriety, I knew better. And I still made this choice. And now I look back and I kind of understand the path as to why I had to be on that path. And, I have amazing people in my life, and I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the adversity because I'm going to help other people physically change.
Yeah. And you're going to help.
And I wouldn't have gotten to that place if I hadn't gotten so sick and broken that I wouldn't be able to be in a position to help them.
So you're grateful for that?
Very much so.
Yeah. I say sometimes it sounds almost sick to say, but like, I'm grateful for the shit times because those shit times have added to, it holds, I don't want to go back there.
If you've only had nothing but blessings and you've never struggled, if you've never lived in your car, if you've never understood what it's like to have things taken from you without your permission, all of those things are what prepare you for a different category of, yes, I get it. Because a lot of people don't. And in order to serve the people who need it the most, you need to go through the shit to get there. And if you did nothing but, roll around in a Benz that your parents paid for, in a house that your parents paid for, and all of these other things, then your experience in life is a little bit different. Saying it's a bad thing, it's just a different experience.
It is.
And you're set up for a different mission than me, homie.
A very small percentage of the people. And I think a lot of that part of life is glamorized way too much these days.
Mm-hmm.
I know, even though a few months ago I was staying in my storage unit, I could go back to that tomorrow, lose everything that I have right now, and I'm still going to be freaking happy.
That's right. And because it's a choice.
Yeah. It's the way I've chosen to live my life, and it's amazing.
It's just not fun to live in a storage unit when it's 17 degrees outside.
No, it's not.
I mean, you got heaters, but still, you'll be all right.
But
I mean,
we have life.
That's right.
And we have something that we could go work towards the next day. I know how to get back.
As long as you're alive and still walking on this earth, you still have a mission to be here and something to do.
God wants you here for a reason.
That's right.
And I know personally I've come fucking close one too many times.
Yep.
But I know I've been put here for a fucking reason. And that's why I'm doing this stuff. Like, I told myself last night, like, when I was praying to God, like, give me the strength and the courage to do this, because I know this is my vehicle to help fulfill my purpose. And I know God gives it to me every morning when I wake up. Like, this is stuff I normally would not do.
I know, and I'm very proud of you.
Danny 6 months ago I might have had the ideas of doing it, but I didn't have the courage to do it. I didn't have the ambition to do it. I just kind of, on that even level of like, hey, I'm sober, that's enough for me. But something else changed, and I realized, hey, that's not enough. I want more. So
I'm grateful that you came out of that fear, because when we don't think that we're enough, you can prove to yourself that you are. And how you do that is by doing difficult things, by showing up and doing difficult things. Like, I was always a quitter my whole life. And, I might have quit alcohol, but that's all right.
There's good things to quit.
But I would never try because I didn't think that I could. And now you literally change the landscape of your brain and build new neural pathways by doing things that you don't think that you can do. Like, and it's a gift. It's a huge gift of being present and understanding. It's like, ooh, let me see what else I can do. Never thought I could do the things that physically I'm doing. Never thought that I would be, a gym person. I never thought that, people come up to me and ask me for advice all the time about, like, oh, well, how do you do this with regard to like physical things? I'm like, in my head, I'm still a 330-pound fat girl, like crushing a whole bunch of shit food, and that's
Can
just
I
not
tell
who
you
I am.
something though?
You got to change your vision.
When I was seeing this in my head prior, and I was telling Tasha this earlier, I still saw old you, and I don't mean to say it that way, but because I've known you that way for so long, and it's still kind of, this is new, but it's the most beautiful version. I'm not saying you weren't beautiful before.
I was beautiful before, but I usually had a shit look on my face.
You're one of the best people I know, and you're one of the most inspiring people I know. And I just want to, I guess we'll wrap this up. I guess I want you to finish by, if there's anything you could tell anyone out there that's seeking change in their life, like what is just 2 or 3 things you can tell people who are seeking change in their life, what they can do today to start on that path.
Keep fucking going. Like, the number one thing is keep fucking going. And I have a bracelet that reminds me of that my very dear friend gave our whole group of girlfriends. Because that's helped me. And ask for help. Like, there are people who want to help you.
You have to ask.
And people typically don't want to come to you and say, hey, I'm concerned about you. They'd literally rather watch you pass out at the bar in a blackout than say, I'm concerned about you, because people are fearful of how they don't want to hurt somebody. You're hurting them more by allowing them to do that than to let them know that you actually genuinely care about them. And I think that is a sad reality of where we are. And I just wish that people would care about themselves as much, like truly about themselves.
Yeah.
Because they have a gift to share with the world too.
I think a lot of people don't take the time to get to know themselves because they don't like themselves.
Right.
And that's the way I felt for the longest time. I didn't want to get to know myself, and I didn't learn all these wonderful sides of myself that I'm just experiencing for the first time. It's kind of because you put yourself in a box. And it's when you put yourself in a box and put labels on yourself, I think it just makes it harder and harder to break out of that box.
You're comparing your outsides with it. You're comparing your insides with everybody else's outsides. And everybody thinks shitty things about themselves. And studying with yourself and really getting to know yourself, just like what you just said, it's scary and it's hard. But once you learn to love the most broken pieces of yourself, you can truly be free.
Yeah.
And therapy has taught me how to connect with those different pieces of myself. And I honor those various different people. Like, I'm driving down the road and I know who's throwing a hissy fit, and it's like, all right, calm down, 14-year-old Michelle, it's not the one. And when you start looking at everybody else and realize that everybody else is a whole bunch of grown adults running around with an 8-year-old mindset, it makes it a lot easier to not take everything and everybody so seriously.
I guess we'll wrap it up there. Michelle, thank you so much for coming out and doing this with me today. It means the freaking world to me. I did it.
Good job. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you so much.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. You don't know how much you mean to me and how much this means to me.
Thank you.
Trying something new and being with someone who I've known forever made it a lot easier on me.
Good.
And I can't wait to go back and edit this and
keep going and helping people.
Every day. That's what I can do.
Every single day.
Yay!
Great job.
Thank you. I think that was great.